Today, we're going to break down a really simple but powerful way to understand our emotions. It's a mental model that can help you stay calm and centered even when life feels like it's throwing everything it has at you. Let's dive right in. You know that feeling, right? When suddenly stress or anger or just pure anxiety completely hijacks your brain. It feels like you're not in the driver's seat anymore. Well, that's a totally universal human experience. And today, we're going to look at exactly why it happens and, more importantly, what you can actually do about it. So, the key to all of this is a concept called the window of tolerance. Honestly, you can just think of it as your personal sweet spot. It's that ideal mental state where you feel like, okay, I got this. You're ready for whatever the day brings. When you're inside this window, you feel calm, you feel focused, you can think clearly, and you can respond to things thoughtfully instead of just reacting. And this is so important. The goal isn't to get rid of your emotions, not at all. The goal is just to learn how to stay inside this optimal zone a little more often. But what happens when life gets too intense? Well, that stress can actually push us right outside of our window. This is what's known as dysregulation, and it can show up in two very different, almost opposite ways. Okay, so on one hand, you can get pushed up into what's called hyperarousal. This is your classic fight or flight mode. You're feeling anxious, maybe you have a short fuse, you feel totally out of control. But on the other hand, you can drop down into hypoarousal. This is more like a freeze or shutdown state. You might feel numb, empty, or just completely withdrawn from everything. The crucial thing to get here is that even though they look totally different, they're both signs that your internal system is overwhelmed. So, if we want to understand how to get back inside our window, it really helps to take a quick peek at what's going on in the brain. It basically all comes down to a tug of war between two key systems. So, think of it like this. You've got your prefrontal cortex, which is like the CEO of your brain. It's the logical, planning, rational part. And then you have your amygdala. The amygdala is like your brain's super vigilant security guard. It's always scanning for danger, and it's designed to react instantly to any perceived threat. That's what triggers that fight, flight, or freeze we were just talking about. The thing that allows our CEO to manage our security guard is something called cognitive control. It's basically our ability to hit the pause button on those automatic emotional reactions so we can choose a more thoughtful response instead. And let me tell you, strengthening this cognitive control is the absolute key to getting better at regulating our emotions. So, how do we actually do that? How do we build up that cognitive control muscle? Well, let's look at a few really practical, science backed strategies you can start using right away. The one big idea behind every single one of these strategies is this: you've got to create a little bit of space, even just a tiny pause, between an emotional trigger and your automatic reaction. That little gap, that's where you take all your power back. Okay, strategy number one is called reappraisal. This is a super powerful tool where you actively change the story you're telling yourself about a situation. When you change the interpretation, you literally change the emotional outcome. You're using your brain's CEO, that prefrontal cortex, to calm the whole system down. For instance, let's say your automatic thought is, I can't handle this. That's just going to spike your anxiety, right? But you can reappraise it. You can shift it to, okay, this is challenging, but I can approach it one step at a time. See that difference? You're not pretending it's easy, but you're framing it as something you can actually manage. Now, our second strategy is acceptance, which is a little different. With reappraisal, you're changing the story. With acceptance, you don't try to change anything at all. You just notice the emotion. You say, okay, there's that feeling of anxiety again. And you just let it be there without judging yourself for it or feeling like you have to act on it right away. And that leads us perfectly into strategy number three, mindfulness. If acceptance is the skill, then mindfulness is the workout you do to build that skill. It's the simple act of just paying attention to right now. By focusing on your breath or sounds around you, you're training your brain to observe its own thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them. It's literally a workout for your cognitive control. So these in-the-moment strategies are amazing. They're fantastic. But we can also play the long game. We can work on making our window of tolerance bigger over time, which makes us less likely to get pushed out of it in the first place. And honestly, a lot of this comes down to just building a really strong foundation for yourself. I mean, think about it. A tired, overworked brain has a tiny window of tolerance. That's why getting enough good quality sleep is just non-negotiable. And the same goes for eating well and moving your body. These aren't just nice to have healthy habits, they are the literal building blocks of your emotional resilience. And for just managing your day-to-day, it's all about making tiny adjustments. The first step is learning your own early warning signs. Maybe your chest gets tight or your thoughts start racing. When you feel that coming on, you can do something about it. Do a quick breathing exercise, take a walk around the block, put on a song you love, just step away. These little actions can keep you from going over the edge. So, what's the big takeaway here? Emotion regulation is not about shutting your feelings down. It's about building the awareness and the skills you need to shift from a knee-jerk automatic reaction to a thoughtful, intentional response. It's about making sure the CEO of your brain is the one calling the shots. So, we'll leave you with something to think about. Real power comes from knowing yourself, from learning to recognize your own personal signs. Because the sooner you notice you're getting close to the edge, the more power you have to do something about it. So what are the signs that tell you you're nearing the edge of your window?